Good evening, folks. We're going to start the CIP meeting of August the 1st at 7:13, let's say. I'd like the committee to introduce themselves. I am Hank Boyle. I'm sitting in for John Heichel, the chairman.
Alan Brown, selectman.
Brian Fournier, budget.
Brian Rose, I'm the Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Gala Breck, member at large.
And we also have Carl.
Carl Quorum from Goffstown Public Works.
Thank you, Carl. Does anyone want to make the minutes of July 18th? Has everybody had a chance to read them? Or do you want to put them off till next week? Next meeting. We will have more people here.
Do we have enough voting members though?
John and I were the only ones that were here last week.
That's okay.
Weeks ago. But we still have a quorum. We can vote, they can abstain.
If they've read them, they can still vote on
And if you-
that stuff as well.
I make a motion we accept the minutes of July 18th as written.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining? In favor?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay.
2-2, yes. We had the agenda tonight to have, excuse me, do we have any callbacks on the agenda?
If you want, I'll kind of answer that. I asked Carl Quorum from Public Works to come back and be available to answer any questions that the board, the committee may have, because he had brought in some very late submissions that we didn't actually even have the worksheets and the data, and I hadn't been able to plug in the numbers into the matrix for some bridge redos, I guess, rebuilds, and so that was I've put that data now into the matrix, and you should be able to view that as part of the whole, the town request for everything. You'll see the totals at the very back have been obviously increased because of the additional projects. We didn't have that information at the last time, and so I wanted to make sure that the committee had a chance to ask Carl any questions, if they had any, or if the information was clear enough, then Carl can just sit there and listen. I don't know. And then also Derek is here. I asked him to come back because he also submitted a revision to his one of his projects, which was the Town Hall Revenue Collection Office and ADA vertical lift. Those have been combined, and they tweaked the numbers a little bit as far as how much that would cost. And so he's also here to answer any questions you may have, or remake a presentation if you want that, or however you want to do it. So,
Do you gentlemen have any questions for Carl? Would you like to review?
Do you have any, like a presentation sheet or something like that that you had last week or anything like that?
I've actually got extras of that.
Yeah, I don't have anything, so.
Maybe better get all this stuff
I don't know if it was presented or not. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, she's got it.
I got one, thank you.
That one?
Go right through that, right to back. Looks like it's about as right here. No pages back and front.
Okay. Who is going to go first? Carl.
Well, if you want, I could probably just cover that
Summarize what you got.
whole
sure.
bridge submittal, because that was the new piece.
The bridges?
Yeah, and we took it out of order because it just so happens that Sewer Commission was here, and Jim Bouchard has actually, his company's was retained to look at the bridges. So we kind of took it out of order, and things may have been a little confused. But let me just kind of run through it quickly and kind of explain what all that is. It all started, we're doing Pleasant Street, as everybody knows, this year. So we had hired Quantum Consultants to come in and evaluate the Pleasant Street Bridge. And they came in and they started looking particularly at the sidewalk portion. And you guys have been in town long enough, you probably realize that sidewalk wasn't really part of the original bridge. It was added on after, and It's not the best, it's not in the best of shape. It's kind of just some old railroad ties stretched across. And so anyway, when we were meeting with them, talking about them, we had discovered last year when we did the work on East Dunbarton, we had discovered a problem with the bridge on East Dunbarton Road. So we kind of took advantage of having Quantum in town. We took them out to look at the problem on East Dunbarton, realized that it was a systematic problem with that design bridge. So we brought them over to Terrell Hill, discovered there was problems at Terrell Hill that we hadn't even discovered yet. And we had information from DOT about the big bridge on Henry Bridge Road. So we had them go down and look at that. And at that point, I just decided, you know what? Let's take a look at all the bridges. You know, the road plan, we kind of had laid out what roads we're going to do in the next few years. So I said, let's just have Quantum go look at all the bridges and kind of help us plan ahead what we need to worry about. To our surprise, some of the things that we were seeing were much more serious than we originally anticipated. So let me kind of walk through the way we grouped these projects and kind of explain, I guess, globally what it's showing us, and then we can dig into the detail if we want to. So first of all, there's a grouping of bridges. You know, obviously right now we're working in Pleasant Street. So we've got Pleasant Street, and we have New Boston Road bridges that are kind of front and center for us, just because of the immediate need, because that's where we're working. Then we have several bridges, the two on Bog Road and the one on Parker Station Road. We've kind of grouped them together because they're all fairly old bridges that are in fairly good shape. The problem with them is that it's all very similar. They need to be, the guardrail systems have decayed. They were never really adequate way back when for today's vehicles. And the decks need some work, but overall the structures aren't in bad shape. So those three we put together because we think the same contract could go out and we could lump all three bridges together and do them at once. That brings us to the other structures which are probably more significant, which is the Terrell Hill Road Bridge, the East Dunbarton Road Bridge, and of course the big one on Henry Bridge. Just to address some statements that were made when I was here last time, those bridges were built, town forces were involved. Some statements were made that the bridges should have lasted longer. So I kind of went back in a record and just took a look at the history of those bridges because it predated my time here. And what I found was not surprising because it's very similar to what we deal with today. In all cases, the town did not have the money to replace the bridges because the CIP probably had deferred all that stuff. So the scheme was cooked up to use the state funding, and by using town forces as the labor to do the job, the state paying 80% of the freight for the bridge, we bought the cheapest bridge money could buy. Town forces installed it. At the end of the day, the taxpayers in Goffstown got a bridge replaced for almost nothing. And we did that on many bridges. We took that same approach. So, you know, somebody could look back and say, geez, you know, those bridges should have lasted longer. Well, that's true. But if you buy a Hyundai, you want it to last 15 years, it's probably not gonna. So that was a decision the town made. Let's leverage the 80-20 split. We use town forces for the labor. And the town just about got those bridges in for free. So I don't think anybody at DOT is going to be shocked that we have to do some work on those. The big one, of course, we had just gotten the report days before I came in here, so I hadn't really had a lot of time myself to digest it. We've pushed, when I came in originally, my biggest priority was Henry Bridge because it's such a critical bridge to the town. That leapt to the top as far as concerns for me. However, structurally, the Henry Bridge is fine. You know, the bridge itself, the truss, is in fine shape. The problems are the abutments. So talking to the engineers, obviously that's the most costly of all of the projects that are in here. I think it's $2.5 million. However, the $2.5 million was a complete replacement. We've had a few conversations since that maybe we could pick the bridge off the abutments, set it on something temporary, you know, put new abutments in and then put the bridge back. That's an option. So there may be some other options as we study it closer that would save us some money. So it's not an immediate thing. We definitely, with a bridge that size, would want to wait for when we can get programmed in and get state funding to help us with it. With the road toll not passing in the last session, the bridge program, we'd be out in 10, 12.
Way out on that.
Yeah, it's, I think 10 or 12 years is the soonest we could see that bridge come up in the list.
Question, Carl.
Yeah.
I was not here last week, you know, but I was reading the minutes, and there were a few statements made that the bridge is not wide enough.
Yeah, when it was, you know, when it was put in, again, it was all the bare minimum. And I don't know the design specifics, but the original abutments were used. So I'm sure those abutments limited how big the bridge, how wide the bridge could be, and the alignment of the original granite abutments. You know, the bridge is kind of skewed. So larger vehicles now, coming down just the way you got to go around the bridge and how narrow it is. Well, we all know how scary it can be, and we've had several incidents where mirrors clip, and you know, our wing plows have hit the side, you know, the side of the truss just because another truck coming the other way. It's just so tight. So the width is definitely an issue, but if structurally it's fine. In the DOT world of rating, that would be called, what is it called? Functionally obsolete. The bridge would be considered functionally obsolete.
Adequate for the fire equipment to get over it?
Well, the fire equipment's getting bigger too. So our newer trucks are bigger, wider. I think we're getting by right now, but it's very tight when you're going across that bridge.
I hate to say it this way, but they get around the roundabouts, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, the chief will tell you that it slows down their response time, but they're getting around okay. You know, and so that as we move through the next 5, 6 years as we're planning, I'm not thinking, hey, we got to do Henry Bridge in 4 years or 3 years, but we have to be aware of it. And we'll be working on the best plan, and we can decide, do we care if the width is narrow? Do we care about the alignment? If we're replacing abutments, we might be able to straighten the alignment a little bit, but the width is the width if we keep that structure. So it's, you know, those will all be things we'll be able to consider as we study the future. As far as the other ones, the two on Terrell and East Dunbarton, the steel members are just, I mean, they're shot. I don't see any way around. The abutments are all fine. The abutments are fairly new. In those cases, it's the steel trusses are completely rotted away, and the deck needs to be replaced.
So the abutments are okay, it's the span that's bad.
Yeah, and those are the ones, again, it was a very inexpensive steel beams put in there and the deck, so it's, get 20 years out of it, that's. So other than that, I mean, we did our best to kind of lump the work the way it would make sense from a construction perspective. We spread out our costs based on, you know, design permitting 1 year, construction the next. Give us adequate time to plan for the proper bridge replacements, and there it is. And in the packets is photos of the bridges and a little summary of what the engineers saw as the issues.
Any questions?
That's a lot better diagnosis than last time we talked, anyway.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of time to kick it around and talk about it.
I mean, when we first talked about this, it was like bridge out, so it was, you know, big numbers.
Yeah.
Any questions for Bob?
No, I'm good. Right?
Right?
Just all the rust though, there's no like maintenance stuff we can do to this stuff all throughout the years or anything, or no?
Well, we're gonna start trying to wash them down with the vac truck. We had, in the past, DOT would come every couple of years, and I brought a bunch of the DOT inspection reports if anybody wanted to see them. There's absolutely nothing in those that suggests to us that there's a problem with those bridges. And we rely on their inspectors, and we get their reports every 2 years and look at them and say, well, okay, we're okay. When they would call us with an issue, we'd go out, and I can remember one time they helped us wash, because they've got a truck especially set up for it. They helped us wash the Henry Bridge down, because to get down underneath that's a little bit of a trick. But the smaller bridges, we could just get down on the bank and reach up under there, so that's not that big of a deal. So, given the experience we've just gained, I think we're going to start trying to get out at least annually and see if we can clean under there.
Is that after the snow and everything and all the plowing?
Yeah.
So you do it in the spring?
Yeah, because it's, that's what the inside, if you look at the engineers' reports, they gave us a bunch of short-term recommendations and long-term. The short-term involve things like installing drainage, trying to get the water away from the abutments. The way it is right now, where the bridges are designed and built, the water literally bleeds down through the expansion joints, which is going right on the end of those beams, and that's just not, as you can see, it didn't work out that great. So we're going to try to regrade it now, and there's like a better expansion joint seal that we can put in and get it cleaned out and try to keep the salt off it.
And the other thing is, and we keep talking, we talk salt, but it's not so much the salt, it's all that calcium chloride. The chloride's what the biggest problem is with everything, I mean.
And we have actually discontinued calcium chloride like 4 or 5 years ago.
I mean, that's.
But we
huge.
used it for a lot of years, so.
I know that, that's what I'm saying, it's huge.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, Al. Have we looked into using anything other than calcium chloride and salt anymore? Like, I know there's some products being made now, some sand with absolutely no fines in it now. It's a really top-notch material to use for sanding roads and salting, specifically for ice and whatnot.
Yeah,
Have we looked into that at all?
We have. Abrasives, sand, any kind of sand.
Yeah, right.
There's no
Yeah.
melting quality. We use it now for dirt roads. It really has very limited usefulness on snow and normal ice. If you have a real hard ice storm, it helps temporarily, but pretty quickly it gets glossed over and it becomes ineffective.
Yeah, I know, but is there any maybe any advantageous to us to use, maybe a split, half and half it?
No, because the sand, every grain of sand you put on the road, you got to turn around in the spring and pick up. It becomes contaminated with all the stormwater runoff things, and then it becomes a hazardous disposal issue. So we've really got away in the whole industry.
What does it mean contaminated? I don't understand. Is it contaminated by the salt?
No, it's contaminated by everything coming off your car. So the asbestos from your brake shoes, the metals, all the stuff coming out of the exhaust.
Minuscule when you really come right down to it?
Well, it's small, but we actually have to sample for it, and we actually can measure it, and it actually is an issue.
Nothing's minuscule with the EPA.
Yeah.
I understand
But,
that.
to address the question, there are other products.
Yeah, no, it was just,
Mag chloride, there's all the, I guess I'd call them yeast-based products. The problem is our pumps and our equipment on our trucks, those products are more viscous, or not as viscous, so we'd have to change all the pumps and the orifices, and so all the equipment we have to spread it would have to be changed out. So we haven't jumped into that yet. Salt brine is probably where we're headed, because it works with all the sprayers and pumps we have.
I was just curious. I know there's some products out there now. A lot of these other towns are using some of this newer materials. It's actually zero fines in it, and they claim that when they get on the roads that it creates, the sunshine hits it because it's a dark material and it draws the sun to it.
Yeah.
And then when it washes off, it just basically goes to the roadside. So it's not something you have to clean up or take care of. And I understand we come from the abrasive, but I don't know if that's really as big an issue as it. I often wonder when you're talking about putting salt on the road, lesser of the two evils. You get salt on the road washing in the rivers and washing the streams, or you get sand, there's no fines in it, washing off the edge of the road, and it creates no silt.
I think, Al, you hit the,
You know what I mean?
you hit the kernel of the discussion, the lesser of two evils, which
Yeah.
is which?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Well,
It's
Well,
whatever's in vogue at the time.
If you're an MS4 community, which is what we are, you want to stay away from sand. That's a pretty well known, because you've got to measure everything you sweep off the street. We have to measure it, we have to sample it, and if it's contaminated, which it is, it has to be handled in a special way. So we really try to stay away from spreading something on the street that we know we're going to be responsible for and have to pick up later. And most of the urban towns that have to deal with the stormwater runoff are moving away from sand. You have to use it on dirt roads. There's no getting around it because you can't put salt on dirt roads. But
Where do we dispose the vac truck stuff?
we're incorporating it into for now, we're incorporating it into our reclaim. I'm not sure we're going to be able to continue to do that.
But are we testing that every time we dump?
Yeah. Well, not every time, but we have to test it periodically.
You take one more step on the sand and even the brine. How much of the storm water goes into the sewage? Is it all cleared up now, or?
As far as I know, it's all separated.
Okay. You mentioned brine in another article in here, another portion. Can you tell me more about brine?
Yeah, it's it's becoming more prevalent over the last 6 to 10 years. DOT has been using it around the beltway around Manchester probably for 8 or 10 years. The city has just gone to it. DOT's expanded their use of it. All salt brine is it's the same salt we use today, but it's mixed with water, turned into its liquid form. The benefits of it is, if I tried to go out and anti-ice the roads, if we knew a storm was coming, we used to try to do this. You go out and try to spread salt ahead of time to keep the ice pavement bond from forming, which is what the whole idea of anti-icing is. You spread dry salt,
My car.
half of it's bouncing off the edge of the road, and it's not going to do anything for you. Brine, you're able to go out the day before the storm, spray it on the road, it dries. If you see a brined road, you see the white lines running down the pavement. It'll sit there for as long as you want it to, days until the next
It's basically liquid.
the next storm.
Basically, you put in liquid salt on the road.
Yeah,
It's just like when we salt, if our salt's wet.
yeah.
And that
That's
helps,
what you want
helps
when
to de-ice.
Now, in your
Fastest.
proposal, it looks like you're going to mix it here.
Well, yeah, that'll be updated. One of the things that is now an option that wasn't when that was put in CIP, the city has a big mixing operation now, and DOT has several mixing sites. And I've started talking to Manchester and DOT about, we might be able to just buy the brine from them. So we're going to kind of explore that a little more, but we might be able to save having to mix it ourselves.
You save someone, you don't have to purchase the salt either.
Right. Obviously, they would charge us for the brine, but, we'll look at it. It may be advantageous to do it that way.
So, by doing this, do we feeling that we're going to use less salt?
Yeah.
Is that what the whole thing is?
The advantages to it is theoretically use less salt, because you're keeping the ice pavement bond from forming. Your cleanup at the end of the storm's quicker, and the guys don't have to rush in as quickly before the storm. Depending on the type of storm, you get an hour or two reprieve as the snow's falling. It's just melting when it hits the pavement. So it's not quite like we have now, where it starts snowing, everything's sticking to the road, and by the time we get out and get going on the routes, we've already started to get a hard pack stuck to the pavement, which then has to be cleaned up at the end, which takes time. So the theory is it's a cost-saving measure.
More efficient for ice removal?
Yeah.
Any other questions for him? Can we let him go home and worry what we're doing?
I'd be all for it as long as it saves money. But I would really like to see the numbers after it's all done.
Anything else? Carl?
Thanks.
Was there confusion over the trailers? Did we get that sorted out in the trash trailers?
I did, if you still want to just get me
Did
whatever.
everybody understand that? the way it was presented. We currently have 2 trailers that were carried into Matrix for replacement. They need significant work, but they're aluminum body trailers, so the bodies aren't bad, but the walking floors and a lot of the wiring has kind of had it. So instead of replacement, we've lumped the 2 together. We put 60,000 into rehab, 30,000 per trailer to replace the floor and rehab what needs to be rehabbed, the hydraulics and the wiring. And then we're still using, you called me about the 97 Stecco.
Yeah.
That's an old steel body trailer, which is very rotted. We were using it for storage, just to store barrels in, but we've had to use it to haul recyclables because we have no spare trailer. So when we had the fire in the trailer and we went down a trailer, we had to actually start using that thing, which is not really a good trailer.
So you do still have it,
We still have it.
and you're still using it.
We are
That's
using
not
it.
on the list of to do anything with that one.
Right. So what
But one of these new ones will probably end up
replace that?
replacing it.
Now, I don't want to give everybody the impression it'll go away because we need barrel storage again. So it'll go get parked in a corner and we'll put our barrels in it again.
But you'll use the new one for the solid waste.
Yeah, as part of the
But-
recycling operation.
Now, we have 2 aluminum trailers, correct?
We have a total of 4.
Okay.
So there's 2 for trash, 2 for recycle.
And then, what was this, we had the steel one originally, is that what the deal
Yeah,
was?
the steel, before we bought the aluminums, this was a steel that we bought in '97. It was replaced somewhere along the line.
But yet we kept it.
We kept it as a storage
So we're not,
trailer.
I guess what I'm asking is, we're not using that and saying, oh, we're replacing that, like, okay, now we're gonna have five aluminum trailers on the road.
No, but we, by getting the new trailer, when we get the other 2 rehabbed, we will have 5. Plus, we'll have the Stecco for storage. And the reason we need it, as a matter of fact, it just happened to us. The recycling facility had a breakdown, so for 3 days, we had to store stuff. We had 3 trailers full of recyclables. So we didn't have the room. And, you have one on the wall, one on the road. If anything goes down, you got no spare. So having the additional trailer is pretty necessary.
Just a quick question, do we have anybody like on standby if we have an issue of this nature that we could call and say, look, we got 3 trailers need to be hauled out of here?
If we needed to, yes. Yes, we do.
So it's not really that earth-shattering deal. I mean, if we're down, we can back them in and, I know you're talking about the station being down, but the trailers could have gone away and come back. Right.
Yeah, it was, the problem is we had no place to bring them. Our facility is what was down, the place we bring it to. So.
Right, I mean, we don't have a backup per se facility, I mean, maybe.
Not for recycling. We do for trash. We
Yeah.
have a backup route for trash. But recycling right now, we're contractually into a site. The option would be really far away because the only other facility they own is way away, like down past Worcester. So we could
Worcester's
do
not-
it.
Worcester?
Yeah.
Well, that's not that far, I mean, it's not like I thought we were talking about New England, out of New England.
No, but Worcester, to get out the other side of Worcester and back when, we haul 3
4
trailers
hours.
a day, so it's, when you have to chew up 4 to go to Worcester, it cramps everything else you gotta do that day.
So, the whole point of what I was saying was, is what Peter Janis keeps going back to with everything, is that we keep having this expansion of vehicles, and then we put something to the side, and like that trailer, and, oh, we're gonna replace the trailer. So I think we need to get a hold on that. Basically, you're asking to add a trailer. You're not
Yes.
replacing
Yes.
that trailer, you're adding a trailer.
That's
I
right.
just wanna
That's
make
why
that
it
clear.
shows as a new trailer.
Yeah, just because we keep having that, like, oh, well, I need to replace this vehicle. Well, that vehicle was put out of service, and it was replaced, we
Well,
got tons of that going on.
Let me just say that's a perception. It doesn't go on. What confuses you, and it's understandable, is 7, 8, 10 years ago, we decided, we always had 10 trucks.
Yeah.
The routes were getting longer. I kept asking for
I'm not
replacement
so much saying about anything about your trucks. I'm just saying in general, cars, vehicles, everything. I mean,
Same
it's-
with cars. We have no more vehicles in the fleet than we ever have had. We haven't added anything. But what happens is, we rotate them out, so they fall off the matrix, but they stay around for a year. because they're like backup. It's planned. We're gonna keep that as a backup. And then the next year, when one falls out, the one from 2 years ago goes away. So there is a little kind of backup vehicles, is the dump truck. and
You're saying
a couple of
basically,
cars.
Carl, is the one that you're replacing, you're gonna keep for backup, but it will not be on the matrix.
Well, the one, we're not,
all I'm
there-
trying to
we're
clarify.
rehabbing two,
Yeah,
adding a new one,
yeah. And one,
and then the old Sticko, which we got rid of years ago, we tuck it back over inside and just stuff it full of
it doesn't
barrels.
show up on the matrix, it's sort of,
Well, it's still on, that's what Brian asked me about, because it's
Sort
on
of
the matrix,
invisible.
but it
I guess
really
that's all I'm
shouldn't be.
saying, it's just,
Yeah.
I see that stuff and
but
Yeah,
all of a sudden
basically,
it never disappears, so.
you keep the one that you're replacing as a spare until the next one's.
And not with
replaced.
everything, but
No.
dump trucks and,
It's a safety.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, and I, calling it a spare is probably inaccurate with the dump truck, because we actually now, that has an assigned route, so it's not really a spare, it's a seasonal truck. We
So-
don't use it year-round.
The part-time you spare.
Yeah.
So now on these trailers, you're doing new floors, you guys have obviously been replacing slats as you've been going, and
Well, they don't need, yes, if something broke, but those floors, this is the first time we've ever had to replace a floor. And I don't know what happened to it, but the slats got ripped.
trash.
Yeah, and we had a fire, so it's that one we needed to do, and the other one's just shot. I mean, it's 10 years old, and so it's worn out.
Okay, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Next victim.
What else we got?
Well, rather than keep Derek around all night, let's ask any questions of Derek. I got a couple, but you guys go first, maybe you'll get them.
Have fun.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to represent. When I was here in June, I presented two projects for you. They were separate. One was for Town Hall Revenue Collection Office, and there was another one for the ADA vertical lift here in Town Hall. The Revenue Collection Office is a project the Board of Selectmen has been working with an architect for the past about 18 months to design and redesign Town Hall to create a revenue collection office, which would be a merge of the town clerk's office and the tax collector's office, and gain some cross-training between those two offices, and also some efficiencies there. We went to the Board of Selectmen in July, after my June presentation, and at that meeting, the Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to put forward this project as one combined project, but to break it out into two phases over 2 years. So you'll now see on line 140 that combined project in 2014, which would be the first phase, which would be the majority of the revenue collection office upstairs, as well as the ADA vertical lift. And then in the second year would be a creation of some secured storage here on the basement level, as well as improving the accessibility of the bathrooms, the public bathrooms down here. And the only thing I'd note is on the department priority, it's listed, I believe, I'm not sure what version, but the one I've seen is listed as 3. We submitted this as a Class 2.
Sorry, Derek.
Which is it now, Class 2? or
Class 2. It should be Class 2. On the revised form that I submitted in July has it as a Class 2.
Why did they combine them, Derek? What was the reasoning, the logic behind that?
I think they're trying to get to a point where we can be a little bit more customer friendly. Right now, you have 3 people in the motor vehicle and clerk's office.
They've been
So-
trying to do this for years.
Yep. So, you got one person on vacation or out sick, and then you got to cover lunches. There's times where lines can build up because there's only one clerk there, and a lot of times that may happen at the same time where the tax collector might not necessarily be as busy because of the period of the year, and vice versa. There's periods of the year where the tax collector obviously is quite busy, and maybe the clerks aren't as busy. And the other thing is, this gets one centralized location where revenue comes into and is collected and then can be entered.
Well, frankly, I'll say my first and then let you guys all come back away with something else. I'm kinda disappointed that they split it up, because personally, I'm in favor of the handicap, whatever you wanna call it, chair lift, or, because there were times when I had to call Marie down because nobody knew how to use it.
And I'll say that is,
That's on the first
But
one, isn't it?
that should be a separate thing, because that I'm in favor of. The other stuff I'm not too sure about.
okay, I think the board is still grappling with that. I mean, and I'll let Selectman Brown talk to that, but I think my reading of the minutes from the 15th, July 15th meeting is the board is still grappling with that, but they wanted to submit it as one, and I guess continue to work with the architect to see exactly what they want to propose.
The basic thing was whether the town hall should all get redone or not, the problem was gonna be is where the lift had to go. Part of the offices were gonna have to be rebuilt to make it work, and that was part of the reason we combined the two. It was not an easy thing to make the lift work where the offices were, to get it all going down the stairs here from floor to top. And that's part of the reason they wanted to do this whole thing, is that one part anyway is one piece. And then the second half of the project for the next year, well, that was gonna be throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. It might not. But this part was actually something they wanted to see get done, because that handicap accessibility is something that had to be addressed, no question.
And that's something that the selectmen were the ones, the selectmen were really the board that really brought up those issues with the ADA. I mean, we as staff experience that on a daily basis, but yeah, the vertical lift gives it the ability for a user to use it on their own. Evening meetings are tough because there are certain boards. I know the budget committee doesn't necessarily have a staff liaison trained to use the current lift. The current lift is not, it's only, I think it's got a 450 pound capability. Well, when you have if you have an electric wheelchair with batteries, you've already wiped out about 200 pounds of that capacity. So, but at the board's direction, we combine those, but it's clear from the meeting on the 15th that the board is still in the consideration phase of how they want to move forward with it. But I think they kind of, as staff, we recommended that they combine them to realize some savings. And also, as you put that in, that vertical lift, it's going to make some adjustments to that top floor, so you do them at the same time. But
The lift going to go down to this floor?
Yeah, be able to go from this floor, so people can actually come to meetings here if they want to get here, or if they want to be upstairs, and get upstairs, and it'll just be more accessible, be more available to everybody.
When
So
the lift was put in, this place was not used down here.
no, but it's used in both these rooms. It's used a lot now. So
Okay. So continue on the lift if you wish. My other question was, when I saw this first, before I read all the information, I had the idea, okay, they're gonna combine the tax office and the town clerk's office, which has always been a plan in the heads here for, I don't know, since I was a selectman back in the late 90s. And then I read an additional meeting hall. We got meeting halls down here now, and an employees lounge. So it's a complete renovation of the whole building, really.
that's why we're kind of stepping back, and we only wanted to
But
allow.
that's not what it says here. This
Right.
is, so it's
yeah, I mean, I guess if
false colors to me.
well, again, it started off as the idea of revenue collection, and the first proposal we saw from the architect was to really maintain it in the current space. There were so many issues with that, of the different choke points, the fact that you've got the concrete wall between the old building and the new building, the construction costs were quite high. And then you move that piece, you got to move another, and I think it just kind of, it got to where it is
Reaction
now.
has another reaction going somewhere else. It just was tough.
Where did these figures, I guarantee you, you start knocking down petitions, the next thing you're gonna have to do is redo the whole heating system in here, folks.
Oh yeah.
We actually had the HVAC replaced last fall.
Well, you moved the petitions, you're gonna have to do it again, because every time they made a new petition up here, rearranged the size of the offices, they had to come in and do the whole heating system. They never worked right again. So, I don't think you're gonna do it for this price.
Well, that was part of the reasons we were kind of wanted to revisit this a little bit. We wanted to make sure it was all going to come into play.
Those are my comments, whatever they reword.
They they're worth everything you give to it.
Just from experience, I know that every time
No,
you put another partition up, you're freezing here and roasting here.
you're absolutely right.
You're still doing it now, probably up there.
Yeah, we do see that on a daily basis, absolutely. It's something,
If you see more of it, if you really freeze. Well, seeing as, Al, it's your shot, because,
I'm good. I've seen this.
think Brian's got any comments, or?
They're all for it.
Yeah. The budget committee's all for this, right?
It's not gonna change my space, so I don't care.
You got any comments?
No.
You can go
It's
home.
all good with me.
Did you have any other questions about any of the other admin proposals? Because the only reason I ask is I think, I believe both Gail and Selectman Brown were here the first night, but I didn't know if you had any other questions on those that I can attempt to answer.
That's a good point there. I read the,
Yep. I don't think there's much complicated, but I did want to offer it while I was here.
let's see, what page are all these things on?
I think they're on page 4, starting on 136.
The latest one. Well, you got the master plan here, the gentleman here, financial software. That's done. Okay.
The other one's
Planning for town hall, that's ongoing. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else?
Good to go.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, George.
Me too.
No, we can't go home yet.
You look like you're packing up.
Watch me.
I would make a suggestion,
See you later.
if you guys are agreeable. That takes care of, I guess, the callbacks, if you will. You want to do a deliberative on the smaller ones, like the water precincts, the library, historic district, and that kind of stuff, and get it out of the way till the whole board's here to go on the higher ones?
Well,
Accomplish something.
it's never a surety that everybody's gonna be here at the next one either.
Well, it's a start. The other ones
mean,
there
I'd
might be more
say-
discussion on.
I'd say maybe a different tactic could be, start at the top and kind of get through the vehicles maybe and take the project, the town projects and stuff on the next go around or something.
Well, what do you three people say?
I don't know. A lot of opinions, so I don't know as if.
I think there'd be more discussion on the other stuff.
I guess
than
that's
we
all I'm
would.
saying.
You're absolutely right. I mean, there's,
The one thing that'd be
Yeah, I
easy,
feel-
nobody's here to defend themselves as far as, what they want or don't want. They all want plenty. That's,
well, but
Well,
if
for
we,
deliberations, they're not usually here anyway.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
We just
Yeah.
do that.
Well, I think that-
and if we do still need them to come and answer a question or something, we can always still call them back at the next one and discuss it.
I made that suggestion since the water precincts, the library, historic district, cemetery trustees, sewer commission, they're usually, yes, done.
So when's our next meeting, 29th?
Pardon?
29th?
29th.
Right.
Well, that's what I was proposing, and I was hoping that we'd kind of have the board, or the committee, solidify that by saying yay or nay tonight.
I don't think, and I don't think Pete said he could make that one either.
29th?
I know I won't be here.
On the 29th?
Nope, I'll be long gone, hard to find. I know I'm not here. I'll be in, I don't know where I'll be, but I won't be here.
Oh, shoot.
I spoke to most people, though, and
I told you I could, didn't I?
Everybody else gonna be here?
I'll be here. I think Hank, I
I'll
think
be
not gonna
Earl
be here.
said he
Guess we'll
would be
make
here.
something work. Shoot.
I can't be here. I know for sure, so.
Supposed to be at Hampton
Peter,
Beach.
Peter
for the
said he
week.
could with some notice, right?
I probably can get
I'll
somebody
make
else to
something work.
for me, so.
In the email?
Earl said he could with some notice.
Oh, okay.
And then Pete said he would be not here, or not able
On the
to come.
29th?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But
Short staff again.
honestly, again, if we are able to get a quorum, it's pretty much
We're gonna-
down
we're
to
gonna have
that.
go with it.
We've got a small committee to begin with, and obviously this is summertime, and people
Stop.
have their agendas. And,
You two will be here. We'll be here. Earl will be here?
Earl, John Heichel said he would be there.
Earl, John,
So that's another, that's
Okay,
two more,
me.
that's four.
That's
Who
four.
else?
And I said I would be here.
Brian
You
said
will?
he'd be
that's
here.
five.
I'm gonna try like hell.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, so we'll have
I'll
five.
call you and remind you.
Well, no, I'm supposed to be here.
Hampton's only 40
It's not
minutes
that
away.
far away to make it.
Yeah.
40 minutes on a good day,
Yeah, we'll see.
No, Thursday
I'll do what I
night's
can,
usually
for
okay.
sure. Absolutely.
Fireworks are on Wednesday.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, forget it then.
Okay, I get the idea, Al. Go ahead, make it.
Motion adjourned?
Second.
We're not gonna,
Undebatable motion.
To not talk about any of it?
Might as well do it next week.
Well, that puts you, well,
Well,
next,
that's really behind
again,
us.
next week, we're not having a meeting on the 15th,
The
if that's.
29th, we're gonna.
So what do we need to talk about then?
I can withdraw that.
We
What do you
really,
want to talk about?
we really should go through and determine whether or not any of these numbers, especially in the 2014 column, should stay in the 2014 column or be pushed out to
are we
another
talking just
year.
cars, or are we talking
If we feel,
everything?
if we feel like the whole matrix is good, then, I mean, that's kind of the types of discussions we need to have. And if you look at the bottoms of the sections, you'll see totals and how it's spread out. For example, like on the front page in the police department, you can see it's pretty well spread out. There's not any one year that there's a huge number
No.
that they're asking for different. That's the type of thing, we're trying to get to a spot where you don't put extra burdens on one year that are then going to, impact another year with additional taxes. So, I mean, the way, the best we can do with evening that type of stuff out should be part of our discussion. And then the other part is, how much do we feel is realistic, or whether or not, that item could be pushed out for another year, and how that might be more realistic later. But my recommendation would be, at least let's get through maybe the vehicles portion of it, and we'll have the discussion on the projects portion of it next year. Or we can swap that and do the projects portion of it now, and do the vehicles.
All right, let's go down through the vehicles. Start right at the top.
Okay, police, I think are okay, in my opinion.
Yeah. For 2014, right?
Yeah, we're only gonna do 2014, I imagine.
Yeah. So,
Unless we're pushing something out, and then you have to figure where you're pushing it to. 2014, the police, okay?
yeah.
Al?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, Brian?
If there's no changes, that makes it easy on me.
Now, fire,
The-
I would say the ambulance, yes, because it's self-funded.
fire, you're gonna have 1 million, 2014, for fire alone, it's gonna be $1 million.
Yeah, I know. So,
What's the,
Close.
Yeah.
855. And that's, well, you're subtracting out the ambulance fund, because that's kind of a freebie, because they have
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
that money. So really, the impact would be 855 after the offsetting revenues.
no, yeah, okay. I was just looking at the subtotal for the fire itself, not the.
Right. Right below that, I put the offsetting revenues to it, and then the subtotal of both of them together.
That is still 600,000, roughly, 600,000.
Capital Reserve Fund for
More.
fire equipment.
You want to know what that is, or?
I do know what it is.
Okay.
Which we'll argue about that in budget, so it's fine.
You can handle that. It's too much, you know, it's just.
I don't know, I feel fire will get hashed out in budget at this point, whether it's gonna be, I mean, I agree with the ambulance, like I was saying, and then they gotta, I don't know, pick something here.
Leaving it to the budget committee to do the hacking and whacking, if you will.
That's kinda how I feel.
Leave the fire the way it is.
Yeah, I feel that way.
You jump all over when you get there, okay?
Yeah, don't worry, I'm on it.
Call me if you need backup.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, Public Works, where you go?
Reserve fund, well, that's gonna take a while.
Public Works has a boatload on this year. 14.
But now, my question is, if you look at 2014, and then you look at 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019, there's like 95 on 15, 60 on 16, 178 on 17, and absolutely nothing on 18 or 19.
What are you looking at? Which one?
I'm just looking at the fact that
Yeah,
we have
the highway.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces in 1 year.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
how do we get this F-550 dump truck with only 65,000 miles on it gonna be replaced?
You got a whole second page there too.
Yeah. No, I stopped counting.
Yeah, because they're stopping.
It is somewhat
Yeah,
more
no,
spread out
there's that,
on the second page.
Oh, yeah, there's a little bit there. Yeah,
Well-
okay, I see, yeah.
Which
You're
line
right.
you want?
If you look at the bottom again, there's the totals. You got
I'm
a
sorry, I
mil-
read the wrong line. The wrong line, get my paperwork here.
If you look at line 111, there's the totals for DPW vehicles, and you'll see that obviously, yes, this
110 you
is
mean,
a
right?
million. Sorry, is that 110?
Yeah.
No, 111.
111 is Parks and Rec.
111's Parks and Recs.
Uh-oh. Did I not give you guys the same numbers?
No, 111, I have,
I have 110 net
What am I,
total.
718, okay, which one you on? I'm 718 here, which one are we in now? We're on
8,
Oh, yeah.
printed 8-1.
That's
He gave us
bizarre.
one tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking at a previous one.
Yeah. But
You
line
need-
111
you need the
has
one-
the
Maybe I have it. You made it up.
and
Let me
it's
see.
over a million.
Is that printed 530?
Yeah.
Is that the right one?
No.
8-1.
Oh, what the hell?
Here you go.
I got 6.6. How many of these things you got?
I print one every time.
Jesus Christ.
You gotta look at, you gotta throw the old ones away.
Oh, obviously, I just figured that out.
I always keep the new ones just so I can look back.
All right.
Yeah.
But you guys
Throw
don't
that in
have
the
to-
trash can. Throw that in the trash can.
So that goes to-
Here we go. Now we got something.
Question is, gentlemen, not so much the money, but echoing Earl, which ones of these do you think you could put out that he doesn't really need this year?
You don't want my answer.
Want the right answer?
Yeah, you'll say all of them.
Hey, I run a lot of vehicles, way worse than these are, believe me. Not worse, but way older, and they're in better shape. So there's an issue with that whole deal.
All right, let's start at the beginning. Let's work our way down and have yeas and nays at this so we can hack this out. Freightliner truck. Well, that's a whole. We went through this last year in budget and it got thrown out. So, and then we got the Sterling.
656,000 miles.
That's not. It's a tractor. It's over the road tractor though.
It's really nothing for my mileage on a truck that's,
So do you want to push that one out?
In my opinion, yes. I mean,
All right, where to?
what's that?
What year?
Just push it out one more year.
Okay. Al?
yeah, minimum.
I feel at least that's reasonable, and whoever's here next year can make a decision. But I just feel that that's something that we went through last year through budget and back and forth about it, and it all had to do with the fact that we were changing the spot that we were doing our trash.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to move that to 2015.
Second.
2015 can certainly handle it. As far as
I guess that's
total.
what I'm looking at,
I'll
yeah.
second it.
I don't think we have to motion and second on all these. We can
Okay.
just kind of discuss and move it out if that's what everybody's
Okay.
happy with.
Okay.
We've never really done it that way, so. So I'll just push it out to
Take back your
2015.
second, let him take back his motion and move it out.
No, just take
All
it
right.
out of the minutes.
I'm just,
Done.
Okay, so that's what, line 55?
I'm
Yes.
just a rent the chairman.
I'm just skipping down just while I'm thinking, but like, those 100-yard trailers, the repairs, I totally agree with that. I'm all about keeping that in, because if you can repair these properly like they're supposed to be and continue using them, that's what we wanna see.
Absolutely.
You guys are more up on this, because I'm not here, so you got the full.
So I would definitely say yes to those two for sure, which would be lines 68 and 69. If everybody's on board with that.
I am.
30 and 30?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to see him push line 62.
Dump, Mac dump,
No, 62, I'm sorry, 63.
Right, yeah.
63,
Caterpillar loader. Cat,
yeah, and 66. Both those pieces of equipment are well able to go out. They need to relook at that number here, because they can rebuild these things for about 1/3 the cost of what they want for new ones.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're running these things, these aren't, somebody's life isn't depending on them, I guess is what I'm getting at. So it's not like we have to have something, $1 million vehicles or $500,000 vehicles, whatever, to get by with.
okay, a question that, Brian, under the notes
Mm-hmm.
on that, for, line 62?
Yep.
Is that that note under it, is that a continuation of the note from the line above it?
No.
So what's
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Act 180,000, forks 8,000?
I think
Wow,
the
so-
MACH probably means machine.
Forks and then a plow for it.
Yeah.
That's where he's coming up with that number.
He's just breaking down the number into 180,000 plus 8 plus 12 equals the 200.
See, what he's trying to do there is, that's the yard machine right now, and that's what they're using it for. And the John Deere that we have has a plow and everything. That's what helps plow the roads and this and that. And what he's trying to do is flop it and use the John Deere in the pit and put a new machine out on the road. And that's why he has to upfit it with everything that it needs.
And you want those out to 15?
I would agree with that.
Yes,
I don't think it's
not necessary.
It basically comes right back down to a lot of what you're saying is the fact that with the economy we're in, the emergency vehicles and stuff, I'm all about, because of the fact that it's life safety. But some of this stuff, you're talking about pit machines and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be the end of the
It's not
world.
life-threatening, exactly.
Okay. Did we talk about line 59?
Skip that.
Sterling dump.
Feeling dumb. Why are we replacing it? Let's put it that way. Needs body and frame repair.
Are you replacing the 178, or is that
Oh, that's replacing.
yeah, he's got it down as a 1.
He says it's an ASAP too.
If this is the same truck that,
This is the same one we went through last year.
the same one I looked at down there,
It's a 6-wheeler. The other stuff.
that's a six-wheeler?
Yeah.
Any of you guys sit down and look at these things?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't looked at the ten-wheeler they got rid of, and that was just, I can't even go there.
So
I don't
let's-
see anything wrong with this truck either, but you know,
Let's do this. Let's leave that in there and let's hash that out and budget.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, you just
I wouldn't disagree. Yes, it's getting bad. And the reasons why, let's not discuss, but
Yeah.
it is what it
You're
is
worried
now.
about cutting the bottom line, you just cut 400,000 out of it, so you got it down to 600,000, which is not much different than 215 was, of course, 215 was.
Last year he added on.
Sure.
Last year he added on for 162.7, so it's gone up, I guess, in price. Probably just the inflation type pricing that he usually increases by year. But
Anyways, let's not go there, but, so,
So keep
We're gonna
that
keep
one there. Line 71 was a recycle trailer. That one I moved from the solid waste section.
uh-huh.
I guess they're supposed to be funding it this year. I think they switch back and forth. But, you know, whoever
Yeah.
is required to do that, but,
Leave it in.
So this is where I'm confused, and this is what we just went through.
Yeah.
He has Stecco 100-yard trailer, which is the one that he said they're using to put in,
right.
but
That's-
yet we're still replacing it. That's what I'm, that's where
Well,
I'm.
he said the Stecco 100-yard trailer is going to go back and become his storage for the
But
bins
we're,
or whatever.
exactly, but I guess what I'm saying is that's what we said we were doing, but now we're adding another, we're adding another trailer, no matter how we slice this.
Exactly.
That, I don't know, I just have a
You're
problem
building
with
two
that.
and you're still adding one.
That's all, I
Yeah.
guess that's what I have, that's what I was
I think-
trying to clarify.
I think he was asking for it because of the scenario they went through where, you know, their thing shut down and they didn't have anywhere to store all the stuff that came through. But,
But we made it through.
you know, yeah.
Well, for $85,000, that's a lot of, you know, I mean, it would seem to me we ought to have a backup plan someplace along the line so that you don't have that issue again. I know he's talking about, if you only make one trip to Worcester, I mean, one trip to Worcester and back with a truck and trailer is a 4-hour ride down and back. If you had to do that twice in one day for 1 week, it wouldn't kill us as opposed to buying a new trailer for $85,000 because we want more storage. Down to Worcester and back, 2 trips at the most, we're gonna spend $1,000. If we had to do it once a year, that's a far cry from $85,000. I guess that's, I would put that right off the charts. I don't see that as really being necessary. I just don't. I'm sorry. There's
Well,
just
he
so
does.
many ways.
He
we
does
change
have a 3 on it, so
Okay, so let's get rid of that,
it.
and then
Give that away.
let's go back
you want
to,
to push it out a few years then, or
I'll go 2016 on that one.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's you two, what do you feel?
That's fine.
Because you don't want to start pushing, we keep pushing,
I'm for leaving it in, so I just want that on the record, so.
Yeah.
That's why I like to take votes on things, so you know.
Yep.
Not yet.
if you guys want to vote, I'm okay with that too. Doesn't matter to me.
Put it on- It's not unanimous, you can write down
Mm-hmm.
that it wasn't.
so,
Bombardier sidewalk trailer. Good, nothing in there. Destroyer of sidewalks.
Line 76, the Ford Sand and Plow, Ford F-50.
I would say let's just leave
Leave that. Let them you
that,
guys hash it
that's
out,
right,
because that's
in the 2004 350 SOAR truck, let's leave both those in,
Okay.
in my opinion.
You guys will have to just straighten that up because that's just.
Mhm.
The mileage on those doesn't warrant getting rid of them as far as I can see.
No.
They're only 10-year-old vehicles.
Which truck were you talking about, Brian?
The 550, which would be line 76, we keep in there.
77.
Yeah,
Yeah.
76. I got that one.
And
And
77.
then,
Oh, right below it.
Yeah, right below
Okay.
it.
Line 82.
no, yeah, 82, sorry, 82.
I'm gonna leave them in there anyway, so
For 46
Oh, I'm
grand.
sorry, yeah, you do, yeah.
no change.
All right, let's move on.
The only one you have on here is a roll-off trailer park.
Just leave it, I would say.
There you go, Brian, you got very little to change.
So you're leaving the line 86 as well?
I would, at least that's my opinion, I don't know.
Now, do you also want to
What else we got for vehicles, that's that?
make any determinations on CIP C priority as to what you, there's the column off to the left of the department priority. We're supposed to sort of determine whether or not we feel that that's the same priority, or if, you know, we want to make it a 3 or a 4 or a 2 or a 1 or whatever.
What's line 84 here? What's this?
So
Auto
Let's do
car.
that then.
Auto Piper.
Well, we didn't do that for the police and fire, so we'll have to go back and do that for them too.
So if you think that the police and fire, no changes, I can just carry those same numbers
We haven't looked at it.
over.
Let's go through that then.
We haven't looked at it. And if you do it for one department, we gotta go back and move them all.
Right, I'm just saying, if you think that the police and fire requests are okay, and that those priorities that they listed, were good, and that's the reason why you're not making any changes, then I can just take those numbers and copy them and paste them right into the next column over.
Just off the top of my, just running down the police thing, I agree with that, because we always get the few cruisers every year in CIP.
Keep up the schedule.
And it's on ones, and which I agree with that, and then the way he has this set up for the fire, I agree with that, because I know they've been asking for that pumper for a long time. And he's got that on 1, and then the other stuff's on 2 and 3, which makes sense.
Okay.
But the police still, has he got the hours on it? Yeah.
How about the
You gotta
capital
figure the
reserve
hours
fund?
on the engine, so.
Yeah.
The capital reserve fund, do you want to make a determination on that one?
I'd leave that, because honestly, it's just gonna get hashed out in budget.
That's right, yeah.
It's my opinion. I'm here now, and I see what happened on the other end, and so it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes you guys end up putting so much work over on this end, and it ends up getting pushed right
Speed
to
up
the
everything,
wayside
yeah,
anyways, so it's kind of too bad.
I personally want to keep it in there,
Yeah.
because they have done some good things by having money in the capital reserve fund and saved a lot of dollars.
I wouldn't
Well,
disagree.
the good thing too about having it is, it sort of offsets the need for, when you have a $500,000 vehicle, if you have some capital reserve fund money, you can put that towards it, and you don't have that $5,000 hit that one year, because you can use that money that's sitting there.
Yep.
So,
So that's,
okay, so we'll leave that one alone, then.
Yeah. And then this is just my opinion, I'll put it out there and see what happens, but the 550 and the 350 that we said to keep in there, I would probably drop those to priority twos if it was me.
Are you talking about in Public Works?
Yeah, it would be 76 and 82.
Yeah.
What are they now?
They're ones,
You want to move them to what now?
just twos.
Okay.
Minimum.
That's all. I just.
Which one was it again, Brian?
76.
70,
And 82.
76 and 82, yeah.
So nobody else really has any vehicles, not like Parks and Rec or anything.
No,
Nobody's
there
doing
there really aren't any more vehicles besides those three.
Okay.
Everybody else on zero column there, so.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at.
Now, one other thing, I know in the past, schools have always been kind of just forwarded on because
So much.
they sort of had their own thing of what they want to put in, and I know the CIP committee really hadn't had much that they wanted to change on that, just because they felt like it should be something that's hashed out and with the public and the voting and all that.
They
But
still got a truck last year, didn't they?
if you want to do that tonight, you can, or if you want to wait till the next meeting, you can do that too.
Let's wait. I think we got to through all those vehicles, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better than not doing the meeting at all. Sure.
That's true. I'll have to redo the numbers because I forgot to put some numbers in. They're all whacked, but that's
Yeah.
okay. I'll fix that for the next time around. When I added in Carl's stuff, I forgot to renumber them. So anyway,
You want to try that again, Alan?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
You okay, Stan?
Thank you.
I'm okay, at least we got something done.
I'm just a rotating chair here. All those in favor?
Are you right there? Hold your arms up over here.